UW-Madison professor, speaking of music, has been nominated for a Grammy Award for the second time in 3 years.
Jim Leary is an emeritus professor of folklore and Scandinavian studies at the University of Wisconsin. The nomination is in the Best Album Notes category for Alpine Dreaming, the Helvetia, I hope I'm saying that right, record story, 1920 to 1924. And it's the same category, the same that Jim was nominated in 2015 for his work on folk songs of another America.
Jim, great to see you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So you're kind of a big deal here. Come on.
Who knows?
Well, tell us a little bit about Alpine Dreaming.
Well, in the late 1890s, there was a Swiss immigrant who came to Monroe, Wisconsin, and had a little shop and began to import records and sell phonographs. And late in the teens, right around before 1920, he got the idea to start his own label, which was kind of nuts because there are no studios or pressing plants nearby, but he had a few networks, and in the early 20s he's made some deals and sent musicians from Wisconsin out to New York to recording studios, and then recruited some from Swiss immigrants in New Jersey, and pretty soon they were putting out these 78 RPM records.
And the music was yodeling, or?
A lot of it was yodeling. There were a couple of factory workers named Charles Schonenberger and Frau Schneckenbuhl.
Bless you.
And they were fantastic yodelers. And then there were instrumental musicians, like from my hometown in Rice Lake, there was a Swiss guy, Otto Rindlisbacher, who was an accordion player and played Ländlers and waltzes and sprightly Swiss Alpine tunes.
What does it feel like to be nominated for a second time?
Well, I'm kind of amazed. I didn't think lightning would strike the first time, but it has. So.
And you got beat out by, what is it, Joni Mitchell?
Joni Mitchell last time. This time there's someone who's doing the notes for a Bob Dylan bootleg series.
Oh yeah, no pressure. No pressure.
But to be in that company
it's nice.
fantastic.
It's nice. And the other thing is there are a couple people in that category who are friends of mine too. So I'll get to hobnob with them and other musicians and writers out in LA, and that's a special thing.
We have a sample of the music to give
cool.
people an idea of what we're talking about here. Let's take a listen. Feels like we're in New Glarus all of a sudden. So where did the content for this come from? From the Helvetia Records label?
They put out 18 78 RPM records. We have 9 or 10 of them at the Mills Music Library at the University of Wisconsin, and then through a network with other collectors, and especially the producers of the label who specialize. Archaeophone Records specializes in like early 20th century recordings, so they knew people in up around Menasha and so forth whose houses are full of wild old records, and so we were able to make digital transfers and clean them up, and then I used all kinds of other sources to try to find out biographical and background information and come up with photos.
I was thinking, do we have some video? I think the last time we talked to you at the Mills Music Library.
Oh, right,
that is an amazing place on campus.
It is. It's astonishing.
Jim, what does the category Best Album Notes mean?
Well, usually it has to do with reissues of earlier recordings where you want some background and context. And in my case, this was a label that nobody knew about. These were performers that very few knew about. And then the songs are in 4 different languages. And so I had to work with people who knew all of those languages and dialectical nuances so we could write down the original lyrics, which are sometimes hard to hear on 100-year-old recordings, and then also do really nice English translations. So I coordinated all of that, and I did the background research and wrote the notes. And,
oh my gosh.
So
Isn't
that's
that
what
amazing?
people do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before we go, we got to show the hardware.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't won anything yet, but you got this, Tiffany's, I might say.
Yeah, they give the also-rans really nice medallions, and I got 2 kids, so I'll end up with 2 of these, and they won't have to fight.
This is great.
And they come in the blue Tiffany box.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully next time you come back with the big hard
Well,
one.
that would be nice. That would be nice. I think it's a long shot.
Well,
but,
congratulations.
thanks
Jim,
so
great
much.
to see you again. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ceremony.
Thanks for having me. I will.
Well, she is